Welcome back to PrepperNow. I'm going to talk about kind of what was going on my crisis report, and the big theme of the crisis report tonight is basically that the hegemony of the United States is dying, and the U.S. dollar is about to take on the BRICS, and we're getting ramped up for that. And everything you're seeing all around us is the crescendo to that thing. And so, of course, that is having societal effects. I think people are really starting to kind of understand where things are going. There's enough people out there that are just being honest and having honest conversations. The hegemony of America is in decline. And where we're going with all this is to a place that is going to make it, how do I put it? I think we're heading towards a collapse that will resemble the Soviet Union, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? If you understand the Soviet Union, in 1991, Christmas Day, it broke up. Little countries like Lithuania, I think it was, or Estonia, it doesn't matter. They said, you know what, we're tired of being your vassal. We're gonna roll out. We're gonna balkanize. Soviet Union was more than just Russia. It was other vassal states and everything else. I think something similar like that is going to happen here in America. I think that you will see a balkanization. I don't think there's going to be a CW or anything like that. I think the American dollar is dying. It's going to be replaced by BRICS and other things in gold. And the focus and everything is going to really move towards the east. It's going to go towards Malaysia and Vietnam and Taiwan and China and all these other countries. Now, what it looks like and how it acts and how it functions, I don't know. I think it'll be precious metals backed or whatever. I often think of the movie Looper, where they're all trying to, they're doing like jobs, and the best thing to be paid in is gold, in yuan or renminbi, whatever they called it. That's kind of where we're going, I think. And I think the shelf life of the American dollar is at its end. Historically, this is what happens. This is nothing new. It's not like this is some groundbreaking thing. Reserve currency has been all over. Portugal, during the days of early exploration, were the reserve currency effectively. Netherlands was the reserve currency. The pound was the reserve currency. And then, of course, World War II came, and the American dollar, through the Bretton Woods system, got rolling. And then things changed a little bit. We went off the gold standard. We went on to Saudi Arabia and a petrodollar. And now that has ended. And now we really are in a place where we're just kind of floating along. And I do believe that on the 9th of June, things changed in a way that we're going to look back and we're going to say, hey, this is a bit of a cataclysmic thing that happened. So as this is all going on, I found this article, and it's, he's a doomer. Name's Michael Snyder. But he's saying that a lot of people are trying to figure out an off-grid lifestyle because, first of all, it's kind of seen as hippy-dippy. But second of all, I think people really do understand that the stakes are really high and they're about to get tougher. And what's going on is there's going to be an existential hit to people. Things aren't going to be as easy to get. You're not going to be as easy to get food. It's not going to be as easy to transact. It's not going to be as easy to do things. And, people think we're going towards a more global kind of system. I don't think it's going to be that way. I think it's going to be more of a local, a regional thing. And I think that is coming. So with that, people that are smart, that are privy, that can think, that are critical thinkers, they're looking around, they're saying, something's off. Something is off, and I need to get ready for it, right? Most of the people that subscribe to this channel are that way. Most of you guys are critical thinkers. You're smart people. You're well-read. You know what's going on. And you understand that this empire of America is in a status, it's the sick man, and it's really starting to accelerate. So he goes on, he's talking about how, it's tough to escape the madness, but people are trying to go with off-grid lifestyles, and my wife and I here are, doing it not full-on hardcore, but we are slowly going around and doing it. We've got about an acre here, which you can actually do a lot with, but we're kind of in a hybrid situation where we're still normies, as I like to affectionately call it from time to time, but also try to do some of the hippy-dippy stuff too. We're trying to learn to grow food and supplement. We're trying to, we've got small animals here, and other things. I don't plan on eating pork or now anytime soon, but, going and getting food from our neighbors. We live around a lot of Mennonites. We live around, we're just south of the Dutch Amish country. We've actually got friends that live over there in that area. It's a great place to be right now with what's going on. The Amish kind of got it right. Excuse me, I'm coming off a cold. I really appreciate, by the way, all the people that were in the chat last night or in the comments that said, hey, I hope your wife gets better. I kind of caught it a little bit, though. I'm starting to get on the mend. She actually kind of broke through tonight. She's going to bed. She deals with everything with sleep. But she is doing much better than she was. So I just appreciate you, not saying anything like I hope she dies or whatever, which, I've seen some nasty comments out there. I don't know if you guys follow MD Creekmore. That guy, I don't know if he's asking for it or whatever. I like his channel. I like him. He's the kind of guy I could probably have a long conversation with. But, he's been kind of doing some different videos talking about love life stuff and all that and getting some hate comments, just nasty, rude kind of crap. So, I don't know. I'll keep it on the prepper tip. But, it's like they said, it's impossible to escape everything. We're all going to be tethered to the system in one way. But the more we kind of separate from the system right now, the better our lives are going to be with what is, I think is coming. I don't know if you think, something is going to happen, but you think if America is going to, either break up or balkanize or even CW or something crazy, it's going to really affect our existence as a nation, put a 1 in the comments. If you think that everything is just BS, everybody's overreacting, and everybody's going to be just fine, put a 2 in the comments. I'd love to see right now. So 1, we're going to go crazy town. 2, everything's normal, and you're a freaky deaky prepper, and you should just stop. I know, MD can't find love. I know, poor guy, I feel bad. 1 to the 1 World War III. I see what you did there, Sarah. That was very smart. 1 Vinlago with a 3. Okay, so it's basically no 2s. Black Hat went with a 4. I don't know what that means. That doesn't sound good. Literally. Usually someone puts the pi, puts 3.14 in there, but okay. So I think we all agree something is coming. Okay, for the most part. Maybe some people think it's not that nasty. Maybe think we'll get through it or whatever. But I personally think something is coming. So you want to get to an area where, you're able to handle things. The people that were in the rural parts of Soviet Union and were more kind of able to feed themselves did much better than the people that were in the cities and had more crime to deal with and other crap that was going on. If you know the statistics to the former Soviet Union and what happened in the decade that followed under Boris Yeltsin's Russia Federation, then you know that really what was going on was a decline in people's living and a decline in people's health and an uptick in the mortality rate. They say that 10% of the population is pretty much a agreed upon number. Shannon Boss, thank you very much. That's very nice of you. I appreciate it. So I gotta hit the like. That's awesome. So 10% of the population basically flatlined. Okay. Now that doesn't mean they were, murdered or any crap like that. What happened was, some of them drank themselves to death. Some of them didn't have proper medical care. Some of them were, didn't have medications. Here in the West, we've got all these medications. Sperry, who is a journalist, said he found Joe's list of medications that he's taking. And he's taking, like, Eliquis was one, okay? And there's 4 others, I can't remember, whatever. But these are very common for elderly men. They keep their blood rate going. They're anticoagulants. They're things like that are good. So when you get up into the upper stages of life, in your 80s or whatever, my dad's on some of these meds, you are able to sustain. You are able to live longer. There's a lot of, pharmaceuticals out there that do some good things for people. And so, those things aren't around. That kind of stuff. So, people died in many different ways. There's a lot of things that happened. They fell off a ladder. They didn't have anybody that could come and repair their roof, so they went up there to try to fix it, and they slipped and fell. Stuff like that. And by the way, slip and falls are actually quite a large number of people dying. So people are now in America, people are reading it. And so the researchers say the number of preppers has doubled in size to about 20 million since 2017. I'd say that's pretty spot on. I've been prepping since 2011, about 12 really. Those that know have been around here a while. My experience was Sandy. I went through Superstorm Sandy, Hurricane Sandy. Some people say it, whatever. I was in the New York area when it happened, and I remember turning on the news and watching people get in fist fights over 5 gallons of gas, literally. Now, I had actually gone through that okay because a month before, when something in me said, you know what, you've got a 1-year-old now, you really need to be on point as a dad. By the way, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and God bless the protectors of their families. So I bought this little, I think it was like an 800 watt, no, actually I think it was 1200 watt generator. And it saved my food, literally. Probably saved about $500 worth of food. Nowadays, it'd be like $1,200. And from there, it just went on. I made my first bug-out bag to go in the car, which is, both cars have a bug-out bag in them now. All the usual prepper stuff. I actually was really into the show Doomsday Preppers, which is how I figured out who Jason Angry Prepper was. And then when Rona hit in 2020 and I really was like freaking out and going super prepper mode, we connected here on YouTube. And, Jason really, honestly, is one of the main reasons why I am a prepper. Because I watched him when he was living in New York City and I said, well, man, if that guy can do it, I can do it. I respected him for it. He's a fireman. He's trying to protect his family. He's doing things to make it so he's living in an urban environment and he's worried about all this stuff. Now, of course, that show did its best to try to, make everybody look crazy. And, that's what was honestly the purpose of the show. He really doesn't have fond memories of it. But people at that time were not really into prepping. You had preppers, but it was probably, the crazy types. And if you know anything about prepping, I mean, your ancestors are preppers. That's why you're here. The government is one of the biggest preppers on the world, right? So people read the writing on the wall. So according to one estimate, more than 250,000 people in the U.S. have an off-grid lifestyle. Now, we don't have an off-grid lifestyle, but we're looking into transitioning certain things to it, or at least have a solar generator, essentially, you know, because knowing what's going on, I personally think you want to have the ability to at least refrigerate food. And to do that without having energy costs or whatever, I think a solar generator was the best one. And I built one. Now, it works. I don't know if it would work for weeks on end, though. I really don't. It's never been tested in that way. Full disclosure. It works. It runs things. It ran my fridge. It will run my fridge, thanks to new not safety regulations, like energy regulations. You know, all the things are such low wattage now. But there are a lot of people that are going off grid. There are people that are really trying to make it. I actually used to own a vegetable oil Mercedes and create my own fuel. I had a centrifuge, and I'd go get oil from restaurants and put it into this big black 55-gallon drum, put it into a centrifuge that would cycle out the oil, you know, put it at 880 whatever RPM, and it would get the fine dirt out of there as it cycled through. You have to heat it up to 200 degrees usually, at least. And then I would put it in the butt of this Mercedes 300D 82 and put it in there, in the wheel well of the trunk was this thing called an autopilot. And the autopilot system, you don't do it, is a 10 or 12-gallon tank. You take the cleaned oil, you put it in there, system in front of the dashboard, this little like remote looking thing. You click the button, gets up to 180, 200 degrees in the engine warmth or heat. And from there, it would start to infuse the biodiesel effectively, mixed with the regular diesel, and the car would run on it. I remember one month, and I had a pretty long commute to work. One month, I think I spent $17 on gas the entire month. So, you know, I'm into this kind of stuff, basically, is what I'm kind of getting at. But now, you know, with all this going on, like my mother-in-law, she's actually selling her, she's taking her property, she's having it, she's selling the house on it, and then she's building kind of a new structure that's going to be like very low energy. I'm trying to talk her into having whatchamacallit put into it. I might even actually help pay for it, because her bug out farm, if you've been around for a long time, the bug out farm I've done many videos there. I would like her to have a generator there, something that ran off of either natural gas or diesel specifically, because diesel can store forever, gasoline cannot, yada yada. And by the way, I did test out PRI. I don't know if people have ever had gas in 2022 of April, when Rona was going and the freaking gas is going nuts. I bought and also the SMO had started in Ukraine. I thought gas prices were going to go up exponentially. So I bought these containers and I bought a bunch of gas just in case, so I could run generators. I got 3 generators and an off-grid solar generator, just to make it so, we can handle things. And of course, the gas went up, but it was more because of Joe. But the SMO didn't really affect things. And so I had to go through it. Well, I had a lot of this gas stored. And I knew it wouldn't be good after 6 months, as it was just naturally. That's the rule. And so I put PRI in there. For those that don't know, it's like stable. It's a gas preservative. Supposedly will make your gas last up to 2 years. Well, April of 2022, I finished the last of that gas. Actually, there's about 2 revolutions left in it. I think I've got 2 Phillips in my lawnmower left, and that is 2024 June, maybe even in July, depending, because it's gotten hot out and the grass is not growing the way it was. So I can personally affirm that PRI, and I was told, I was mentioning stable once. Someone mentioned me, they said, no, you want PRI. I said, okay. And it works. It will hold your gasoline and keep it good and usable in your combustion engines. So, but I've never tested my solar generator for long term. I've tested it for like a day, but what does it look like? What is it going to do if there's partly cloudy? That kind of stuff. So I've got a Blue Eddy big foldable modern, I think it's 500 watt solar panels, and I've got two 250s and a charge controller and the whole 9 yards or whatever. I've done a detailed explanation of it. It's actually on my blog. If you go down on my website, which I got to figure out what to do with that website. It's just sitting there. It's bought for the year, but PrepperNow.net. It's got the entire specifics, the whole thing on there from 4 years ago. I think it was 4 years ago. I think it was actually May of 2020 when I built it. Again, I was in super prepper mode. I thought for sure Rona was going to kill us all. It was Spanish flu part 2, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. Maybe it was a dress rehearsal for the chicken flu, which I was joking with my wife. I said, I think we both had the chicken flu. So she was laughing about that. But I can confirm, as I said on the crisis report, I actually culled all of our animals over there. And yeah, we're good here. Everything that's living has been ended, and we will not spread the chicken flu to anyone. So, just kidding. I joke. So this is what's going on now. People are saying, hey, I want to live off grid. I want to be a prepper. I want to store fuel in case there's a problem. I want to grow my own food. I want to do all these things. I want to have tools and items that can get me through a long emergency, as a lot of us call it. So they're changing to this lifestyle. Now, I personally think that's great. I wish it wasn't 20 million. I wish it was 200 million. But then again, the PSYOP is really good. The messaging and the narrative that preppers are these dumbasses that live in the Midwest and are trying to do crazy stuff because they're freaks and think the world is ending when it's not. That messaging is put out there for a long time, but I got to tell you, there's been a hell of a lot of validation in the last 5 years, especially, to what most people are trying to accomplish in this kind of a lifestyle. So for a lot of people, joining a community of others that have adopted an off-grid lifestyle is very helpful. I don't know if you're in a mag or a community of other people, or you've learned stuff. We live in a little enclave of country folk out here. Some of them are really good at gardening. Some of them are good at 2A stuff. Neighbors across the street are really good at like auto mechanics and stuff. They've got like 5 cars. They're always working on stuff. And then my wife and I, she's a emergency room nurse with a medical degree now, and treats and has all kinds of stuff. And me, I come on here and piss and moan about the state of the world and try to give you some information about what's to come before it happens, which, Crisis Report does a pretty good job of. So a lot of Americans are turning to this. A lot of Americans are becoming off-grid. I don't know. Operation Self-Reliance. I think it's smart no matter what. The things that are going on right now don't even have to be going on. Like, you should do this anyway. If you've got people to protect in your lifestyle, you should be doing this. You should be figuring out how to keep the refrigerator on if there's a scenario. When Sandy happened, and I saw not a long emergency, but a moderately greater than short emergency felt like. There's nothing creepier in the world, folks, than for 4 days going outside. I think it was all collectively out. It was a week. Now, we were up north in the hinterlands. We weren't even in New York proper. We had lived in the city and we had just moved out to the burbs. Okay, so we're moving out in the burbs, and we got a new kid, and we're living the dream out there. Wife's got a good job. I was at the time I was managing restaurants in the city, high end ones, and making pretty good money, and we were doing pretty good. And sitting there and watch this major storm go through and just literally turn everything onto its head. And what people don't realize is Irene happened a year before. And when Irene came, everybody freaked out. They said, this is the big one. This is going to happen. This is going to do it. This is going to hit New York. Everybody's going to be screwed. And everybody really took it seriously. So a year later, when Sandy came through, a lot of the New Yorkers were just like, whatever, I'm getting a bottle of vodka and some ramen noodles, like 3 packs, and I'm good. Well, subways flooded, major issues happened. I mean, Rockaway looked like a freaking war zone, Staten Island. I mean, the thing really did a number on New York. And you're sitting there up in the hinterlands, and I've got this is kind of before a lot of the major information is going on the internet. You've got smartphones, but not like today. I basically had everything set up through my generator where I had my food, I had television, I watched DVDs, and basically hung out with my daughter because my job in the city was closed. I was, restaurant. So they weren't open. My wife, however, she was an emergency room nurse. She had to still work. And what she would do is, we had gas cans, because I had this generator, so I got a couple of those. She would go and we would fill them up for her like coworkers that were living on Long Island that could not physically get gas. I remember coming back one night, and there was a guy with a truck at a gas station up above us that probably had 25 2 to 5 gallon jerry cans, the plastic red ones. He filled all of those suckers up. And I asked him, I said, what's going on, man? And he said, well, I'm coming from Long Island. I think he said somewhere like Huntington or something like that, central Long Island. And we still don't have gas. And so what I do is I come up here and everybody puts their thing, and we've got everybody's name marked down, and they pay me to go get gas, and I come up here, I fill everybody's stuff up, I go down back to where I'm from, and everybody gets their gas, and life goes on. Think about that kind of a situation. Like, think about just that right there. That was 1 week. I can assure you it was utterly life-changing for me. I figured out more about like myself and honestly what it means to be a father than probably any other time with young kids. My daughter learned to walk that week. I'll never forget it. We're sitting there and she's got the one light on. I had like one light, a DVD player, a TV, and my fridge on. That's about it, right? And she started to walk. So I learned more about protection and caring and like scenarios, like it says up here. It wasn't anywhere even near what I think is coming. And the apocalyptic scenario in that 96 hours to 1 week was honestly life-changing. And a lot of us in the West are just so coddled. We have so many like things that we just take for granted. We don't really understand how tough it can get. We don't understand, I think I only have an understanding of this or even can consider it because of what I do for a living, being a history teacher. When you look and you read things about what happened in the world wars or what happened in the Civil War or what happened in the Great Depression or what happened in, one of the panics of the 19th century. A lot of people don't know this, but in the 19th century, there were economic crap going on in America all the time. They didn't call them crashes. They called them panics, right? All kinds of stuff like that. Thinking about, what was it like to be in Russia when Ivan the Terrible was ruling, and he had one of the first iterations of the secret police rolling around in Moscow proper, he had actually worked it out with the nobles that he had this little area of Moscow, and it was revolving. It could be anywhere, where he could go in, and it was his playground. He could do whatever kind of evil, terrible crap he wanted to do. I mean, this is a guy that killed his own child with his own bare hands in a fit of rage. Things like that. People don't really have the perspective anymore of just how freaking nasty it can get. There's a story on the Crisis Report tonight about Sudan and how it is going to resemble, if not overtake, one of the worst famines in modern history, which is the 83 to 85 Ethiopian crisis. For those that are children of the 80s and remember those times, things like Live Aid and We Are the World and all that, people coming together to help them. 1 million people perished from starvation in Ethiopia for a multiplicity of reasons. That kind of a situation is happening again. There's basically a civil war going on in Sudan. Humanitarian aid gets there, but it gets taken over by both forces. And people are literally dying in the street. They're saying that 15% of that population could perish from a lack of food. This is modern day stuff. Like we live in a time of refrigeration. We live in a time of air fryers and ovens that can go with you in your car, and you can tailgate and all this stuff. This is happening. And so think about what things would look like here. Any kind of a scenario. Like it says up here, electricity goes out. Nuclear war. Cyber attack. And my biggest fear, folks, is I won't have information. I'm telling you, that's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is that I'm not going to know what's going on in the greater world. I'm not going to have anything to receive proper information. Now, sure, everybody can have a weather radio or whatever, or listen to AM radio, whatever's left of that. But, I go in and I do the open source intelligence thing, and I can find a lot of stuff. But not having a finger to the pulse of what's going on in a major emergency, if I could go back, it's one of the skills I would love to have that I don't have, would be the ham radio operator. Seriously. Those people are going to be invaluable in an SHTF. So, but I don't know. What are you doing? Are you preparing for an off-grid? Are you preparing for a Balkanization? Are you preparing for crazy times? Whatever this may look like. I mean, we're doing stuff, but I still know it's never going to be enough, or it doesn't feel like it. We've got rain collection. I got a big a big barrel that collects rain. I got a garden that basically wasn't because of we're not growing food currently. I cleaned up the garden. I had it going, but because we went on our vacation, I really couldn't. Everything probably would have died. I go on vacation, and by that time, usually in August, I'm kind of picking out the tomatoes and stuff. But we went first week of June, and this is generally when the food is really going. I just was like, you know what, I'm going to start this thing, and it's not gonna be good. It's not going to be properly tended to. And then also we need to finish the garden. We've got 3 beds. I've got all kinds of stuff. I don't know. I'm going to probably do a lake garden here in like a week. Probably do tomatoes or whatever. We're trying to germinate stuff. Anyway, I'm thinking out loud. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I've been sick. I had plans to do all this stuff over the last day, and I just haven't felt up to it. Plus today, as I said on the broadcast last night, I had one of those work days where I had to go in early when I don't want to get up early and yada yada. But I don't know. What are you guys doing? Do you have rain collection? Can you get rid of, feces? Another thing that's beneficial about the food thing, growing your own food, is the prices. I mean, the prices are going crazy. We supplemented many a meal last year with my egg. I did great on eggplant. I did great on tomatoes. I don't know. Maybe I was an Italian in former life. But we did great on all that stuff. I did really good on, what was the other one? Oh, the bell peppers. They did good. But I want to learn. My wife doesn't like bell pepper. Or no, she likes bell peppers. She doesn't like tomatoes. She doesn't like eggplant. So she got all mad. So you're growing stuff I don't want to eat. I want to grow. She likes green beans. She likes broccoli and cauliflower. And she likes, yeah, that's about it. She doesn't like tomatoes. Doesn't like anything tomato. So, and I'm good at growing tomatoes. It's one of my favorite things. And I love them. I love to do it. But anyway, I digress. All this stuff is I don't know. I think everything is coming, guys. We're not off grid. I don't know if you're off grid. Maybe you're just trying to, actually to my homeboy in the back. We almost put in 4 apple trees this year. So you just one of my wonderful subscribers, my friend Taz, who's got my phone number. He just said I should grow some fruit, and we actually have a mulberry tree which I need to harvest right now. That thing is booming, and then we want to do apple trees. But anyway, yes, you are correct, Taz. I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff going on. They try to frame us like we're fearful. We're not fearful, folks. We're realistic. We all understand what's going on. We're not stupid. We can tell that the American empire is in shambles. And I don't like to hear that. I love this country. I love the people in it. I love teaching its history. But the fact of the matter is that the people running the show are running us into the ground, And that is a hard reality, but it's coming. And if only about 7 to 10% of the population understands that, then 93 to 90% of the population is going to have one hell of a hard time. Really. And that's my biggest fear. And the problem with that is this. Those people are going to make it tougher on the people that are prepared. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those are the people that are going to go and do the stupid stuff. The prepper fantasy. What do I do with marauders? What do I do with... Those people are going to make it tough. Now, I don't think they're going to last long. I think it's good to have, networks of people. I think it's smart to have, a mag or people around you, which I had one on Telegram, which I still talk to those people. And I know some of you are listening. I need to, now that we're kind of through everything and I'm back, I need to reinitiate with all of you. There's about almost 15 of us. And they're great people. We used to have great talks. But life started going real hard, and it was tough to keep up, and so I just kind of put it aside. But anyway, again, I digress. I'm just talking. I hope you're doing things. I don't know if you're off grid. You know what? More power to you. I hope you are. We're getting to a place, folks, where there's going to be a lot of tough decisions that need to be made, and if you're able to handle them and mitigate your situation and, handle an off-grid or whatever, grow your own food, self-sustainability, making it so you don't have to rely on the system has never been more important. And all this stuff is really I think it's going to become more important. I think more people are going to embrace it, and I hope they do. And I think more people are going to become preppers. Because as I said on the crisis report, when this thing gets going, and it will, when it just gets moving, and the American hegemony of the dollar is challenged, and the crisis is going on. I mean, they're putting up freaking fencing around the Supreme Court because there's decisions about to be made. The chaos is coming, and I guess that's what I'm going to call it. So whatever you can do to make your system, your situation, your whatever better, I strongly suggest you get invested in that. You know, you're not going to probably learn a lot from me with stuff as it pertains to how to, you know, can 700 pounds of potatoes or anything like that, but we'll talk about prepping here, and I'll tell you when I think things are getting really nasty on a geopolitical sense. That's my shtick. I have a geopolitical degree, and I don't know. I've been pretty on point with my calls of what's going on, and I think the American dollar is dying. I think it's going to be replaced by BRICS. I think BRICS is going to be backed by gold, and I think if you don't have physical items, all paper wealth in the West is going to go up in flames. I really believe that, unfortunately. And it's going to hurt a lot of people. So, chaos is coming. Friends, I appreciate you letting me just kind of blather on about all this and being here and hitting the like button and all that. It's up there in that corner, 3 dots, should you be so inclined. If you want to be one of the cool kids like Bad Bobber and be a member here, check it out. It's $2. It just kind of helps sustain what we're doing here. It's less than a coffee a month, so we can have these conversations. Thanks to the $5, I believe her name was Sandra. I really appreciate you. And yeah, please keep doing the things. Cheryl Lynn, I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Looking to move out into I guess a natural area is what she said. Let me see that. Into a rural area. Do it. I'm telling you, do it. We love it out here. We're still close enough to civilization that, 15 minutes we can be there by car. But to find us and to go, you got to go through multiple country roads, and everybody on our little plot here, everybody knows everybody. Everybody talks. If there's a coyote coming around caught on a trail cam by the neighbor, sure enough, they're coming over in the morning. I got a sick cat. Have you seen it? Yada yada. We talk. That's the way America was back in the day, and we need to get back to it. So if you're doing those things, great. Sherilyn, I hope you figure it out. I hope that works for you. All you people, do things you can to keep your family safe. Be a protector. Use critical thinking skills. And as a history teacher, I'm going to tell you right now, this empire is in decline, and there's a coming chaos. All right? God bless you all. Thanks to those. Thanks to you all. Thanks to my mods. And we're going to see it. Shannon, you were the one. Shannon, thank you so much, Shannon. I really appreciate that. You were the one that tipped me. Sandra was not correct. I apologize. Fade to black. We're out, folks. God bless. Prepper now.